a creator, entrepreneur, you have the potential to reach a large audience. But for your content to be visible to your target audience, it needs to show up high in search engine results. So this is on-page SEO is the key here. And in this episode, we'll explore the best practices that will help you get there. And if you happen to miss parts 1 and 2 to this SEO series, you can find the link to those in the description below. And I do recommend you going and watching those. The SEO part number 1 is finding the keywords, and part number 2 is your site structure. So they are both very important. But I want to share this on-page SEO because it's so important. And as a side note, I feel like you want to have like the quick thing, right? Like, how can I do it quickly? If you want to do it right, it normally takes a while. And what I mean by that is if you do this SEO structure correctly, it could rank quickly on Google or search engines, but it can take a little bit of time. So don't freak out if like tomorrow, like you update something and tomorrow it's not ranking like you want it to. Give it some time, 3 months, 6 months. That is something that you're going to have to realize is that things take time. Normally those things that quickly allow you to rank super fast are like the no things, the things you shouldn't be doing. So as long as you're following just like the simple SEO basics, you're going to be doing well. And it's also what's inside of your content too that's important. So you just might have to go back and update things. And I can't tell you, I've done that lots of times because you just want to be basically your whole point of creating this content is to be the best resource on that topic for whoever is coming to your page. And over time, people add new things. And so you might need to update it. So don't be afraid to update it. And I talk about that in the keyword research part 1 on how to do that. There is the Google Search Console for that. So make sure you check that out because I kind of go over that. But we could probably do an episode more in depth on that. But let's get into on-page SEO. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, because there's a lot of things, I'm looking at my notes right now. So we're going to hurry and start with your photo guidelines because every page needs some photos in it. It gets boring if you don't have it. So we are going to talk about that and what helps it with SEO. So the first thing is the file name. When you are saving this on your computer or however you're doing it, make sure it doesn't say like image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You want to name it. You want it to be short in description, and you don't use special characters with it, but you're going to add keywords in there. So for example, if you are doing, I just keep coming back to this one, DIY planter box is going to be my file name, and it will probably be more specific than that, but that's going to be part of my file name. I'm going to describe what the whole project is for all of these images. So make sure that you rename it so it's that, and you want to try to keep it under 4 to 5 words with that. So that's important, is your actual file name. The file itself, so the size, is important for page speed, and this affects how quickly the page will load. So if you just upload the file directly from your camera, I'm going to guarantee that it's going to be huge. It's going to be a huge file. So you should actually use services that help you make that smaller. The one that I like to use that's so easy is Lightroom. It's by Adobe. And you can quickly add in some stuff, it really just clicks at this point for me. I have presets set up that it's so easy to edit photos on there. And then you just resize it on there. But the things that you need to do with the resize is you want it to be the image size that is going to be displayed on the page. So don't have an image that's like 2,500 by 1,500 pixels. it could be 800 pixels. That's actually what I actually upload mine to be. I think it's 1200. 1200 is, I think, mine, just because of some reasons, but 800 pixels is fine. Guess where most people are viewing these images from? They're viewing them from their phone. So they're going to look super crisp at that size. So you don't need huge ones, just as a side note. And then it's recommended to use the appropriate file format. So this would be like JPEG, PNG. The one that's really big recommended now is WebP, because it produces high quality results. And there's places that you can go to convert your images to that. I actually haven't done that yet, but there's also the image compressor that I use as a plugin on my WordPress site actually does it for me. So that's probably why I don't do it. But just as a side note, there you go. And also, that's a good note too. If your image sizes are really large, that affects your hosting. Like, you only get so much space that you can have. So the more images that you have that have higher files, you're going to be starting to like hit your max on those things, and you're going to have to get a higher tier. So make sure you kind of think of that too with that. The next thing that you want to do is compress your image files. Like, okay, we broke it down to as small as we want it, but then we're going to compress this to make it as small as possible. And if you're using a Mac, I recommend using a tool called Image Opt-in. I'll link to it in the resources that I'm providing, but it's free. It's directly on your desktop, and you just drag and drop it in there. That's how I like to do it. There are also free web-based programs for this as well, and I'll link to those as well. And then again, I told you that I have a WordPress plugin that also automatically compresses the images for me as well. And that one that I use is called Short Pixel. So once you are ready to upload these images into your website, the next thing that you need to think about is your alt text. And this stands for alternate text for an image or picture, where it displays text if the image cannot be shown. And this was, I don't even know how many years ago, but Google and all these search engines are really taking into account that you have this, like it benefits you, because they're trying to make it accessible for everyone. So it's very important in that sense as well, but also it tells Google what the image is about. So you're going to write a short, concise alt text that describes the image. And you want to include keywords here, at least one normally, but don't put a Pinterest description in the alt text. This was a thing for a really long time. I can't even tell you how many years, but that was like how you would pull Pinterest descriptions in, was through your alt text. But what it should do is actually describe what the image is about. So if it has like a cutting board in it or something that's green, you would describe it. You would say a green apple on a wooden cutting board. That's what you're basically doing, is describing what the image represents, what it is to Google or these search engines. So make sure that alt text is there properly. Now we are going to talk about editing these pages. So you want to make sure that you have accurate titles. So this is like your title of your web, like of the actual post. You want to make sure that it reads naturally, I can't say that word very well, and effectively communicates the topic of, like, the keyword of the page's content. Don't add a title that has no relation to the content of the page, or default it as untitled. So you don't want to get like, I mean, people are crafty, right? You can put crafty stuff, but you should describe what the article's about. You should put what the article's about. Why did you do all that keyword research if you're not even going to put it in the title? The title is so important. So each page, because you're doing this, should have its own unique title. And you don't need to stuff keywords in there. You want to add like your focus keyword, your main keyword, but that's about all that you need to worry about. there's recommended sweet spots. You want it short and sweet. And most people recommend 50 to 60 characters. So trying to keep it in that range so it's not over too over. And you can also do something called meta titles inside of your plugin, your SEO plugin, if you have that, where you can change it up a little bit for search reasons. But then it's going to bring us to our meta description, since we're talking about that. And this is what will display in search engines. And it doesn't display all the time. It depends on if they want to or not. But it's basically describing what this page is about. And it needs to be between 50 to 160 characters. You want to try to hit 160 characters, just try to get as much information in there as you can. So it's basically just giving a summary of what the page is about. And so you don't want to use generic descriptions like this page is about, and don't fill it with only keywords. You want it to describe what a page is about. So this is something else when you're doing your keyword research. So for that keyword research that I was telling you about, you can look at what other people are doing, and you'll notice that a lot of time Google is probably not pulling that. So it's important because it helps tell Google what your page is about, but they don't always pull it. So just keep that in mind. The next thing is you want to use headings inside your article because it emphasizes the important text. So this is just telling Google what's important inside. And I keep saying Google. Every time I say Google, just think search engines, but that's the one I use. So that's one I talk about all the time. So it's similar to like writing an outline of a paper. So you're going to outline the important things. So in my case, when I'm doing DIY projects, each of my steps is going to be a header because it's an important part. You're moving to the next step. So just think of main points. As for example, if we're doing what we're talking about here, one of my main points would be titles, and the next one would be meta descriptions. The next one would be headings. And so just think of that. But your H1 is for your post title, and your H2 is for sections in the post. And then you can use H3s for any subsections. So just kind of like give hierarchy to the text or the content that you're sharing. Just make it kind of like tell Google where you kind of want them to go with things. Next is know what your readers want and give it to them. So this is very, very important. Content is actually the biggest thing. Why are you even doing it if you're not giving your audience what they actually want? So use different keywords when you're searching. So like when you are doing your keyword research, you have your focus keyword that you put on your title. Your H2s too, you want to try to put some keywords in there, but inside your text as well, use those keywords that you found. Make them flow easily, make them easy to read, but add them in. And also we talked about those questions that we talked about. So common questions that people have, make sure you put those in there as well. Answer everything that you can. Basically what you want this to be is like the one-stop shop to answer that question, the reason why everybody's there. So make sure you give your reader what they want. And then links. Okay. There's a lot to go over with links, but when you link to something, you don't want to link to click here. You want to link to a description. You want to anchor that with a text. So for example, if I am linking to part 2 of this series, I would link to boost your contents page, or not that, this is this one. I don't even remember what my last one was. Whatever it was, I'm trying to find it. Hang on. Unlock the power of SEO through site structure. So I would do something like, do you need help with your site structure? Be sure to visit my article about unlocking the power of SEO through site structure. And that would be the link. I would link to all that description right there. So that is what that is meaning, is that you're actually linking to a description and not click here. You want to make it flow into the sentence, make it readable and not clickbaity. you also want to link to external sites. I know this sounds really kind of funny, like you're trying to get people away from your page, but it's really important to link to external sites because it helps the search engines judge who you are linking to because it's establishing that you're related to them. So it's giving your authority to that site as well. But if that site has already got really good authority, it's showing Google that like, hey, I am related to this site and you should probably start thinking about me when you think about those other things. So make sure that you do that. You want to make sure that you're linking, and I recommend linking at least once to an external site per post. Because honestly, you want to share resources with people. So don't try to think that you're not helping. Like you're helping your audience if you're linking out. And affiliate links do not count. Okay? Because that is something else that we'll get to in just a minute. But so just make sure it's naturally, like you can link to it naturally too. It's not like a random placement because you want to link to some type of like really big site. No, you got to make it flow. You got to make it answer and help the audience with the content. Then you also want to do internal links. And this is really important because it's giving, rather than giving all your juice to this external link, you want to link to yourself. It's recommended to like have at least 2, but it would be ideal if you could have 4 to 5 of your own and then 1 external link. So you're giving yourself some juice too by linking to all these things as well. And it's also showing that they're all related. I mean, it's like a whole thing. So you want to just try to link to yourself a couple times, and you don't want to link to the same page multiple times. Once should be enough. And then we talked about, I was talking about affiliates. So certain links, you want to tell search engines that you have relationships with these. And so the ones that it means is like, the big thing is the no follow link. And this tells Google or search engines to not share any authority to the linked page. And you're basically telling to just ignore that this link even exists when you have the no follow. So if you are linking to an external site that is helpful to your audience, don't put the no follow. The only time that you really put a no follow is if it's a site that you don't really trust and you're like, maybe you're doing a don't follow this person's advice, or if it's a affiliate link, you're adding that because you don't want Google to follow it. But also with that, if the other one, the attribute that you want to put with affiliate is called sponsored. So you want to tell search engines that you are getting paid for this link. Like, so it's meaning if somebody clicks on it, you're just sending them away, but you're getting paid for whatever's happening. So this is for affiliates and sponsored links as well. And then there's another one for comments and forums, but we're not going to talk about that because that really doesn't matter. And with that gives you like a quick rundown of what the on-page SEO is. And I hope that wasn't too overwhelming. I will be showing this via video on YouTube. So if you want to see this in more detail, where I actually walk you through a blog post that I do, I hope that will help you with this. I have resources again with a checklist, and I'm going to do like a mini series, I think, too, with that, just to help you guys make it easier. It's not a lot once you get the hang of it, but at first it can be very overwhelming. But this is like the simple version. Some people go to the extreme with a lot of things, and I'm just showing you like the basics that you just need to make sure that you're doing. So overall, your on-page SEO can be a powerful tool in helping your content rank higher in search results and helping it reach the right people, because you put in all this work, you should be rewarded for it. So make sure that you're doing your SEO, because you ready for this? I didn't know about this when I first started. And so I am still going back and updating all my old posts. And there's like hundreds, and it's no fun. to have to go back and like rewrite everything. But you can just go back later. You might have to go back and reamp it, but like at least you're getting the most out of it that you can right now by doing this research. So I encourage you to make sure that you're doing your on-page SEO research, or not research, keyword and all that fun stuff. But I hope this series was helpful to you to help you simplify a little bit of the SEO process.